Hello, we are back today at the Para World Ranking event 2021. Yesterday we had the Tokyo Paralympics final quota tournament, and today we come back to team matches in the world ranking. Yesterday, me and Kevin here, we were cheering for you, and sadly, it was really close. But how was the way of your preparation for all of these tournaments, because it was not the first one, also the World Championship in Hertogenbosch.
Yes.
You attended that one also?
I did. So it's been difficult, I think, for every archer over the last year and a half. It's been a difficult time, both personally and in sporting life. The last competition I was at for para was in 2019 you're right, in Den Bosch, and then the very last competition I had at all was September 2019 in Ireland, and since then I haven't attended one competition. So I'm very happy with my shooting this week and preparation. However, where I fell down was just through lack of competition preparation and not knowing how to adjust in those situations. For me, trying to train and archery in Ireland is fully self-funded, so I also have to work full time. So it's very difficult to do that, but I wouldn't have had it any other way. I'm very happy with how everything's gone in a very difficult situation.
So you think that also some of the results were affected by the pandemic closure, lack of tournaments, and lack of social meetings with all the other archers? Because I think that's one of the things which kind of push you more.
I think so, definitely. For me, it has been, and certainly talking to other archers this week, I've felt that. There's a huge sense of relief this week too, that people feel like we're getting back to normal, we're starting to compete again, starting to see each other. A lot of para-archers are very isolated in their own countries because it is a more niche sport. So by getting here and being around a community of archers, I think it's very important for athletes, and it certainly is something that I felt this week.
And you are always one of the smallest team here. It's basically more or less you and your assistant. Sometimes you are even here alone over the years. Now we will be watching the team matches, but how is the difference between going to the tournaments more or less alone and having some sort of more community in case of either your home club, where I believe there is more than one of you? How you we always can see Eva and Gens, and they are more so the only ones from Latvia para-archery team. And on the other hand, we have a huge Italian team. They come here even with a big bus, which is only for Italian team.
Yes.
And as we will go into it, I believe there will be a big crowd cheering, because now all the Italian teams are shooting, but I believe we will hear a lot of these crowds. So is this fun where and the fans, supporters, do you think it's kind of supporting the ego, supporting the better results, or it should be moreover about the quiet times?
It depends how archers train. So in Italy, it's and I can only imagine how they are at competition. They will train as a large group, and so we'll have constantly be hearing those loud, should I say, commands and cheers, and they're used to it. And when you have a team that's smaller, that doesn't have crowds, and then experiences this shouting or this cheering, it can be off-putting, but that's also the challenge. So for me, almost as the underdog, I'm here on my own, and I think to myself, okay, that team has got lots of support and lots of voices, but I can do this. If I dig deep and I focus on what I'm doing, because it is an individual sport, if I focus, I can do it. And at every other competition, that has been the case. I've gotten through teams that have very large supporters with them.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's also, I would say, even advantage to be the underdog, because like you have to no extra pressure on it, no really a big like hopes from the team. Nobody's like, oh yeah, she's good, it's normal.
Yeah.
And then you kind of like internally you could fail. Even for the teammate, I think it's also that you kind of feel the pressure that you cannot, in this case, let down your colleague, because in mixed team we have only men and women competing. You think that if you experience some of the team competition in your national level, do you feel that sense of like, now I really need to support him because I don't want to let him down?
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. It's a good thing and a bad thing. So I have competed at team matches in France in 2016 in Nantes. And you certainly feel like on one side I need to do well because I don't want to let my teammate down. And if there is a situation where you shoot a bad arrow, just because it's a bad arrow, you suddenly feel like, and you get knocked out, you suddenly feel like this guilt. So it is both a good thing, it pushes you to fight, but also when the result comes through, it can be very upsetting. But also from a large team and a small team, in a small team you can go away and have a very quiet time to bring yourself together. But I often find if people come to comfort you from a large team, and as soon as somebody puts their hand on me to comfort me, I break down crying. So again,
you are a safe hand, you can just release it.
Yes. So sometimes it's, there's good and there's bad reasons to have a large team, but I definitely think the sense of community at a para competition is definitely what large teams feel all the time.
All right. Yeah, and I mean, today we will have again recurve and a compound both, and even here in the team we have set system, and for a compound again cumulative score. Since we have 2 members, it's always 2 people shooting and then 2 arrow each. So today our maximum score should be not 30 but 40.
40.
And I mean, in our match which we are watching, the first end we didn't say, but Italy shot 37 points and Latvia 29, so they took 2 lead set point. Then it was very close, 34 to 33, but still Italy got another one. And as we know from yesterday, once they reach 6 points, they are winners. And in case of the team, it's a little different because only 5 set points is needed in this case.
Yes. So this is the decider.
Yeah, I mean, it could be or not. And I mean, at the moment we can see like a very nice tens.
Yes, from both teams.
So maybe Italia doesn't want to let down, but I mean, look at this nice tens. The grouping, it looks like they align.
Just an 8 from Latvia to 20 from Italy.
9. Maybe. We will see how this one goes.
It will be tight.
And you can notice that they are raising a hand, which for a para is very important, because in able bodies we have a 1 meter line and they need to cross it over to kind of get less time for the shoot. And you guys needs to raise arm, and Leva could not make it because there were 3 seconds left, and so therefore a miss for her side. So I mean, yeah, this made it to conclude to 6-0. And I mean, we saw this in the yesterday compound matches, in one of the semi-final match with Carmen Rubio and the Mexican archer. And the Mexican archer, she just could not, in the middle of the third end, she just could not pull the bow. Do you think it's like the stress once you have the big pressure, this is it, you just need to shot, and then you just cannot pull the compound bow, especially, it's super hard. It's just like once you don't have enough of the strong force at the beginning, you just cannot really release. Does it ever happen to you to kind of like had this fail, time problem, and then just like nothing works?
Yes, it does. It's kind of like a snowball effect. So for me, what I find is that I will be shooting and I'll be trying, and then I push out on my start and my arrow falls off the rest. And I have gone through a process of breathing and visualization, and then something like the arrow falling off the rest means that I need to reset. But suddenly my brain is thinking, oh, hang on, do I have enough time? And then you try to do your process again to reset, but then you're rushing it, and then you have pressure, and then to try and compensate for that, you over push and you find you have a high arrow, or you have an arrow that's going to the right. It's very easy to do. And yesterday there was quite a lot of wind too, so you had heat and wind, so people were getting tired and also finding themselves under that time pressure.
Yeah, and you said it nicely that like your brain starts to say, oh, here we have a Kevin, our co-speaker from yesterday,
Hi,
just
Kevin.
in case you want to see his face. And actually, like yesterday we had also the issue, and you said it nice, that your brain starts to think, oh, do I have a time to like start over? And then I think yesterday it was the extra pressure of, I really need to shoot it, because especially in compound, once you lose that arrow, it's more or less gone. Here in a recurve, you have another end and you can start over and still turn the match. And once you know this, you start to run out of time. You shot only one arrow, still two to go, 30 seconds. You just cannot pull it out. That cause more and more stress, and I think then your muscles just collapse and they don't want to continue anymore.
Yeah, exactly. When I started in archery, in Para-Archery, we compounds were allowed set points. But that was short-lived, because the next time that I came to competition, it was cumulative. But yes, the set points are they are great in a lot of ways, because you can, if you are mentally very strong, you can finish a set and those arrows are done. You can't get those arrows back, so you need to just go again.
Yep.
So although you are playing against yourself, it's very hard not to let those feelings of what other archers are doing get into your head.
So true. I mean, we have another result coming in.
Oh, fantastic.
And actually, like, our match was the only one in recurve which, as at the moment, which end up, we are waiting still for one to pop out. Maybe that will be also the case. Yeah, Ukraine, Ukraine beat USA.
Oh, interesting.
6-0. So, very interesting match. Actually, like, look at the score, for example, for the compound mixed team for Great Britain, Nathan McQueen and Jessica Stratton, 39, 39, 39. And we were saying that the 40 is the maximum they could reach. So,
Yeah.
very consistent shooting. Not a lot of teams actually are so consistent. And only 140 we can see, and it was shot in second end by Russia, Tatiana Andreevska and Ber Shigalev. They managed to get 40 points in one of the ends, but I mean, very, very tight one. And I'm actually rushing it, because before we have another recurve match is over. 6-0 Turkey is going on to the next one, beating Azerbaijan. And as we said, we don't really need 6 points. 5 is enough, so even when you tie one, you are fine. And that happened to Poland, 5-1 win over Mongolia. So we have only actually one match still running in the recurve side, and that's a Great Britain and Australia. So we will see how that goes during the time, and also we will see how the compounders will do, because I mean, Great Britain ranked #1. Nobody would actually expect somebody else, and especially from their team. It's also one of the biggest team here, and a lot of expectation, of course, it's put up to these guys.
It's true, although it is a sport, especially with cumulative scoring, where anything can happen, and so it's the expression "don't count your chickens until they're hatched" is it's one to keep in mind.
Very true. I mean, we saw this yesterday in many cases. That
In my case,
that one I don't really see, but
no,
but we had some where you. That some archers, for example, they have 29, 29, and then 19. And you know that this is not like really a
Yes.
miss, that they did the wrong shots all over. It was just that one arrow kind of missing or